Because this is going out to two different channels at the same time, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Chris. I run the channel Busy Becoming Myself, which is all about self-improvement. And I use a lot of the examples of my life, going from someone who was pretty much a pushover, who did not see himself as very attractive and was not doing all that I could be to be attractive as well, to improving both in confidence and in what I actually bring to the table. And I'd like to share the lessons that I've learned through life with the viewers of my channel. And I'm joined by Andy. Do you want to introduce yourself, Andy?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'm Andy Holt. I've got a channel called Tips and Tricks at Home. I don't do much, I'm going to say dating content or that kind of thing. My main shtick, if you like, my main focus on my channel is more psychology. So I do a lot of books and habits and routines, and I also do a lot on productivity systems. And the other thing that I do, if you go on my channel, is I like to do a lot of cooking. I don't know, I just find it fun, and I think my audience like the cooking videos as well. So I do like that because I'm very sort of health and fitness conscious. Diet is a big part of my life, as it is yours too, Chris. But yeah, I like to throw in the odd cooking video, which people seem to enjoy. So yeah, and that's me.
Yeah. So the purpose of today's episode is we're going to talk about attraction and attractiveness, and also differentiating this from unattractiveness, because I think they should be looked at two different measures, because someone can be very attractive in many ways, but have very unattractive traits holding them back. And I would say I definitely fell into that camp in having very some unattractive traits that I needed to deal with. So attraction impacts not only your dating life and your relationships, but the entirety of your life. Even if you're, in the workplace, people who are more attractive are seen as more competent. They're more likely to get promotions. Most presidents were usually tall, attractive men. Criminals who are more attractive get away with lighter sentences. So this is something that affects the whole of your life. And so it's something worth thinking about. And, whatever life choices you make, it's best to do it with the most amount of knowledge. So building do you want to add anything to that?
I couldn't stop getting something out of my head then, Chris, when you said criminals. Just thought about what happened to that Jeremy Meeks. He was a criminal, weren't he? He ended up being like the most biggest model in the world.
Yeah.
Nowhere,
Yeah.
He was actually a criminal.
Yeah. So I used him as an example on my channel before, because he was. So in 2012, there was this mugshot that he became famous for because this guy was involved in robbery and assault, and what he became famous for was loads of women commenting and liking his mugshot. And he actually got when he got out of prison, he got a modeling contract and was then dating some millionaire's daughter. So, there's a lot said about women want a nice, kind man, and they do want a nice, kind man. However, it's very important to be attractive. They want an attractive, nice, kind man. And there are many, many women who would choose an attractive asshole over a nice, kind, unattractive man.
Correct. Depends how you define nice, because we're going to get into the kind of no more Mr. Nice Guy topic now. So nice doesn't mean being a pushover.
No.
You know what I mean? You're right. You can be an arsehole and still be nice.
It depends
It's
where
a
you're
bit of
saying
a
asshole. It's
tricky
like, is it you put yourself first in a
yeah, I mean
sort
that,
of
yeah.
self-confident and knowing that your primary responsibility is towards yourself,
Yeah,
or are
correct.
you going out of your way to like lie, cheat, deceive, and
Oh,
yeah,
no, I don't think being evil. I don't think being evil, but being very kind of self-centered is not an unattractive behavior. I'm not saying it's the best. You know, leaning more towards that is more attractive, if you ask me.
yeah. I mean, it sort of conveys status because the people who cared less about the needs of others or the desires of others. I mean, maybe not even like a chief of a tribe would care about the needs of the tribe, but the tribe isn't. He's not going to bend himself to their whims. The guy who's got all the power and all the resources. So being self-centered is a conveyance of status because it makes it puts you. It's the stance historically adopted by those in power, and the people in power were the most desired.
Yeah, correct. I think you being as, it might come across as being very selfish, but it's not. I think you being the best you can be, the strongest you can be, the most direct you can be about what you want in life. As long as you use that, because the way I see it for myself, so I want to be, I like to describe myself as like one word, territorial, which means if you're in my inner circle, I'll protect you. But if you're not, I'm not saying you're an enemy, but I'm going to have less, sort of, not less care. I'm just going to go for what I want.
Yeah.
Right. And I think some people might see that as selfish, but it's not, because I'm doing that so I can be the best I can be to then protect my inner circle.
Yeah.
You know, because that's deep down, no one's evil. You know, you've got people that you care about, and that's what you want to do. But to the outside world, you might be seen as a bit brutal, you know.
And I think it's, the having the confidence to act alongside your principles rather than people pleasing is the big differentiator here.
Correct. And kind of leads on to just what we're discussing before we went live, Chris, about the books that we've read and that we know. And one of those books, Atomic Attraction, which is a lot of the notes that we pulled together for this, Chris Canwell's book, I think it's a fabulous book, right? And the main reason why I like that book is because if you're coming at this from an unattractive position, let's say you want to make some changes, you're not getting some results in your life that you want, and we've all been there, right, where we need to, we get a slap in the face or whatever, something happens to us, and then we wake up and we think, we've got to do something. Atomic Attraction is your book of choice, your first go-to book, because it gives you direct, actionable advice on how to behave, look, and sound attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things in that book might come across as a bit brutal, and I think it's well known that the kind of dark triad is attractive. There's a fourth one as well, isn't there? Psychopathy as well. So I don't know what you call them when there's a name, there's a term to.
So the dark triad would be Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy.
Yeah, and then there's sadism as well, which is the fourth
that's the
one.
fourth.
Right. Yeah. So the main three, the triad, as you say, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. So myself, I lean toward, I would say, I'm a self-confessed Machiavel. That's the way I lean in life, because I'm a strategist. Everything I do is about strategy, everything in business. I tend to behave like a Machiavel because I'm trying to strategize and all that kind of thing. I don't feel evil, but it gets me results that I want. But then the other two, like, being a psychopath is a bit, that's a bit dark, but it's still very attractive. And narcissism even though it's, everything's on a sliding scale. Being slightly narcissistic as a man, I always believe is a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you think about the kind of the book Attached, the attachment styles, forget about the disorganized, which is a bit of both ends of the crazy spectrum, but you've got either anxious, secure in the middle, and then sort of avoidant. And the narcissist tends to be basically an extreme avoidant, right? But I think as a guy, you want to get to a position where you're just slightly right of secure, just slightly towards avoidant is about perfect for a guy. It doesn't mean that you're evil. It just means you're always putting yourself first.
Yeah, and I think it stops you. I mean, I don't even think it's necessarily like there's a lot of the term narcissism. All these terms are loaded. So
yeah, it's gone around.
All we're saying is you want to be putting your own interests first, which is actually a very healthy way to live, because everyone is putting their own interests first, and you find win-wins where your interests align with other people's interests. You don't need to necessarily I wouldn't say so. I mean, I know Machiavelli's philosophy. I wouldn't go into the deceiving side of it, because I don't need to play that card. I don't want to play that card. I just, for my own personal integrity, I feel good with myself when I am fully upfront. But I mean, it also involves being choosy what you reveal to people. And I mean, even on my channel, I'm very, very open, but I'm still choosing. I'm choosing to talk about the things that that can't really hurt me. That I've my most viewed video was me talking about a story from 9 years ago. So it doesn't affect me anymore. It's just ancient history. But anyway, what I was saying about these traits. Yes, I think there always needs to be a polarity in a relationship, and being the one who could be okay without the other is, I mean, both people should be able to be okay without the other. You don't want people thinking their life is over if a relationship ends, but to basically not be pedestalizing the woman is very important, because if you pedestalize a woman, if you treat her like all the love songs you heard as a kid, make you think that you should look at her, that she's your everything, she's your world, she's not going to find you attractive for long.
Correct. And what you said there as well about being choosy, that falls very much into the don't be unattractive side, because I do believe that so it is the, and this might be Machiavellianism. By the way, Machiavellianism, his original book, The
Prince.
Yeah, The Prince. Modern Machiavellianism of today is a totally different concept to The Prince.
Mm-hmm.
So The Prince was really brutal. It's only a little book, but it's basically quite brutal. It's almost like it's meant to tell a leader how to lead at a time when life was cheap, and if you didn't like someone, you just killed them or wronged them or whatever, and that's what happened. Modern Machiavellianism today is more things like Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power and things like that, which is less severe. But even if you read 48 Laws of Power, it's pretty brutal. You know what I mean? It's like crush your enemies and all this stuff. It's pretty brutal.
But the games people play, even if you don't want to participate them. I think that's a valuable book for that purpose.
Oh, it's an amazing book. I mean, another great book is Office Politics, Oliver James, if you ever read that. I mean, that is a fabulous book to learn about the Dark Triad. I mean, I read that book to try and become a better Machiavel. But anyway, no, I'm messing. But in a real sense, in life, whenever you interact with another human, there's always it's like a buyer-seller dynamic, you know what I mean? You've always got that going on, no matter anything, whether you're in business, personal life, friends, whatever. There's always that kind of someone's putting less effort in and getting more attention than the other person. There's always that scenario. And you always play a role, right? And I think it's fine to play a role. I think you need to play a role with a romantic partner that's different to someone with a colleague, that's different to, say, some random person at the gym, and then to a friend, and then different again if you're in a sales conversation in business. So the idea that you are always your genuine self, yeah, but I think your genuine self takes many forms, and I think you can't just go around saying whatever you want. You have to play the game of life correctly, and that's why I like Machiavellianism. I like it because, to me, it's the basis of those different roles in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you touched on it earlier. Being attractive. It's right. So a really simple thing, if you think about being attractive, actually a massive topic, but a simple, just actionable advice, go-to thing is just how you dress. Right. There's one. Just how you dress. And if you talk about how you dress, it doesn't mean how you look or what your height is or physical appearance or whether you're in shape or anything, because that's irrelevant to that. How you dress. So that matters in every scenario in life, right? Even if you walk into a restaurant or you walk into a shop and you're dressed in a nice jacket or whatever, nice shoes, you'll be treated differently to it if you walked in with a baseball cap on back to front and some tracksuit bottoms. You know what I mean? You'll have a completely different. You wouldn't go into a business meeting dressed like the former.
Mm-hmm.
You just get a different reaction. I don't know if you've ever got on a plane with a blazer on or a jacket and just the little, the little slight little differences.
People make different assumptions about you. Everyone makes assumptions about other people, but if you're dressed well, people make different assumptions about you that are usually in your favor.
Yeah, and first impressions matter because, like, I was reading, read that Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a fabulous book, and in there it talks about there's so much stuff that it talks about, but it basically talks about the halo effect, which is and this concept of what you see is all there is. It's called, and what it means is humans, we create stories in our head based on the smallest amount of information. So if someone appears professional and turns up and presents well, you would assume, like if they were in a job interview and they presented well for like 2 minutes, you would assume that they can do that job, absolutely smash that job for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is, you've no idea how they'll perform over 10 years. They might have just had, one lucky 2 minutes. And that first impression gives that halo effect. And then every time you see that person, you automatically think they're brilliant. Whereas if you think the reverse, if they went in, they absolutely fluffed it and stumbled all over the foot, tripped up, knocked a glass of water over, whatever, you'd think they were an idiot. And it would take so long. It'd probably take them 10 years to recover from that position.
Yeah. And I think there was, that movie, the guy who the movie Catch Me If You Can is based off, like he was a narcissist who he went around fooling people into thinking he could do jobs that he couldn't. And he got the jobs. He was a pilot. He was a surgeon. He was all sorts of things that he had no qualification for because he dressed well, he spoke confidently, and that won people over. Yeah, but isn't that like, do you not find that fascinating, right? Because
even in the book, right? So in the book, Atomic Attraction, Chris Canwell talks about the suit, just presenting yourself well, whether it's a suit or just nicely dressed. Even if you appear like you're a high-end businessman or something, you're more likely to get results. You don't necessarily have to be a businessman. You just have to appear like a businessman, and you'll get the same results. And that's you're right. I mean, I don't think that that's a long-term strategy. It's like what we was talking about the other week. By the way, everyone, me and Chris know each other quite well, so we talk frequently. But we was talking the other week, and I mentioned to you that story, like, and my brother won't mind. I'll tell you about my brother because he's quite funny, but he's so he does quite well with the ladies, but he doesn't do that. He does well, but it's only for a short period of time, right? Because he pumps himself up to be like a 10 out of 10. His superpower is he can pump himself up to be like a 10. You know what I mean? So he can go out and he'll just act like he's the shit, right? Absolute, like he's a 10 out of 10. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true because he's got nothing, right? And he'll do all right, but that's where it ends, because eventually people suss you out. So if you go down the route, it's like the catch you if you can, man. You know, you can fake everything. And I think you do when you first sort of learning about this stuff. You have to fake it until you make it. And you'll get somewhere, right? But long term, you have to really become it. But I think your entry point is faking it until you make it with books like Atomic Attraction, because it's just going to literally tell you how to dress, tell you what to say, tell you what to do, all these little behaviors. So they're all like little canned lines and little behaviors and things like that you can do. Will get you somewhere. And it will give you some lines that makes you appear like you've got a good game. But I've always said, we spoke about it, having good game, but no inherent value, will get you a girl for a short period, maybe a few days, before she susses out. You'll get somewhere if you've got really good game. You can always be able to get a woman, attract the opposite sex, or if it's woman the opposite way, they'll attract a man. But if you haven't got the inherent value behind it, eventually 2 or 3 dates in, they'll leave because they suss you out, and you just be on a merry-go-round, right? Having no game, and you're probably related to this, Chris, having zero game, zero attractive qualities, but loads of inherent value, like maybe you've got like a really good career or something, I'm going to say we'll get you a faithful 2 in a sexless marriage.
Yeah.
So in other words, you'll have a faithful relationship, but it won't be fulfilled. It'll be with someone you don't really want to be with, and no sex. However, what you really want is a bit of both. If you have both, like you become attractive and also you build the inherent value, I think that's when you get your full pick.
Yeah, a couple of things there on faking it till you make it. I mean, we started off talking, well, we recently just spoke about clothing, and that is literally trying on something new to see how it works for you. And I think if you're not used to dressing smart, it's something you should try. Try to make it a habit and see how you get on with it, and see how differently you interact with other people. You do need the inherent value behind it, but see how differently people treat you in conversation versus when you're dressed. Like, I can put tracksuit bottoms on. Actually, when it's winter and it's cold, I do wear them because they're quite well insulated. I know, but I know I don't look as good as I would if I was wearing like something much more smart. But let's change subject, because we kind of talked about like the inherent value. And I think like if you dress well, but you're not in shape, it's kind of like the same thing as like being really confident, but not having done anything with your life, because people respect, both men and women respect people who are in shape. Well,
Yes.
like they in the female, they can be female intersexual competition, or there's also masculine intersexual competition where like men say, oh, he's doing that because he's gay or something. But in general, despite all the talk about dad bods and stuff like this, the science shows that women are more attractive. The women are more attracted to men who are in good shape. I'm not talking about extreme bodybuilders, but just being someone who is, 80% of their potential, of their natural potential, that's very attractive.
Mm.
And I've seen the difference the way women are with me when I've been at higher levels of body fat versus when I'm around 10% body fat.
Mm. Well, just on that point, Chris, when you get in shape, because like I'm going to say both of us are really in shape, right? A pretty good standard, and that's been self. Others can judge, but I think we are, right?
Yeah,
I've seen.
Yeah, you can see it. You see our ads through coats.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So anyway, you are right. So what I think when you get in shape, a couple of things. So you get more forgiveness on mistakes, right? You get a little bit more forgiveness. You don't have to try so hard, and your game doesn't have to be as tight. It's just like a little. I wouldn't even call it a cheat code, because I think getting in shape is harder than learning game.
Yeah.
It's one of them things that you can't fake. You literally, it just is a lot of work and a lot of discipline. But yeah, you're forgiven more. And back to the business conversation, I still think it's the same. Part of the dress and the look is clothes that fit well. And if you go into a business discussion, I remember I worked with a guy, right? I used to work in corporate before I had my business. And I used to work with a guy, and he used to always say to me, I could never trust a guy who's overweight. And I said, why not? He said, well, if I work with someone who's overweight, they just don't care about themselves. It just doesn't give the right message. Someone who can't control the weight, I just can't trust them. And I thought that was evil at the time. But when I look back at it now, I think, no, he's probably right. He's probably right.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a matter of discipline.
Who has the better impulse control? Someone who can get down to 10% body fat, or someone who, has to dive into cake or chocolate every time they feel a bit sad?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know that sounds brutal, but it literally, you need better impulse control to be able to choose to eat healthy even when you don't feel like it.
Well, yeah, there's a whole discipline thing about it, because the one thing I learned, I mean, I've always been into the gym. When I was in my 20s, I used to be a bit of a meathead, right? I was eating as much as I could, just full chickens all the time, just eating full chickens and taking whatever. I've never took drugs, by the way. I've always been lifetime natty, but I was taking sort of creatine and them animal packs. Remember them animal packs where I used to have about 30 times a day to scoff, and just absolutely hammering protein. And I got massive, right? Fairly big. And then I stayed in shape, and then I lost it because I was like concentrating on the business and everything. I put loads of weight on. And then when I shed it again over the last few years, the hardest thing I had to learn was diet, right? A large part of this, as you know. And what is it with diet? It's like, don't eat sugar, don't eat sweets, don't eat chocolate, all this stuff. It's a discipline. And I think that applies to everything in life. And I think when you look attractive, right? So you take care of your parents, you're groomed, you smell nice, you've washed, you dress well, and you're in shape. I think people trust you, because obviously you've got a bit of self-respect, but also it's the message that you put across, that you're a person that has discipline and control. And I think that it's almost like, it's like what you said about the politicians. Look at all the American politics. Look at all the senators. They're basically like
human landslides.
Actors. Well, they're like actors. They're not serious. I don't think they're actually doing the politics. You know
Well,
what I mean?
there's a bit of a mix. There's a bit of a mix in the U.S. Senate. You have like guys who've been in it, like they're clearly obese, like they're like 70-year-olds. Like,
well, yeah.
I think it's a bit of a mix, but yeah, the politicians
Well, they're like actors.
yeah, the politicians who
They're presented.
Yeah, the politicians who actually get people behind them it's
Polished.
Yeah. They present an image that people can project their fantasies onto. Like this is the ideal leader for me. And similar thing happens with attraction. That not even attraction, but just the similar thing happens with someone who's in shape. Whether you just even if you recognize that in the same sex, you see someone who can push themselves to do something difficult, who can, be consistent with their efforts.
Correct. Yeah. But there's so with the politics, there's verbals there, isn't there? It's what they say, and it's body language. You know what I mean? It's verbals, non-verbal. It's all that communication, which is a massive part of it. And that goes into attraction as well. It's not just how you look, because you get some guys that look absolutely fabulous, but the minute they open their mouth, you know what I mean? They're just weak or insecure or whatever, or scared. Like just generally scared.
Yeah,
that's not.
And this is why I said it's really practical to treat attractiveness and unattractiveness as two different measures. So you don't want to just think, oh, if I max out in the gym and I become like competition level bodybuilder, that's going to cover all my problems. Because if you still have crippling insecurity, that's going to come out within the first few conversations you have with someone, and they will be turned off by that. Correct. And actually, I think very often the people who are at the elites of bodybuilding have these deep insecurities that leak out into the rest of their lives. I think it's really, really it's good to not over focus in any one area. So get into reasonable shape, but don't go crazy about it. Eat healthy, but don't pick up an eating disorder. Learn game, but don't make it the only thing you do, so that you don't do anything else.
Correct. Yeah.
And same with money as well. Yes, having some resources is important, and obviously, say a millionaire, billionaire is going to attract, say, different people than an average Joe. But even if you're an average Joe who's just in a good job, that is going to attract. Okay, I'm going to say this. This is a masculine feminine difference here. A man will choose a pretty pleasant girl who works in McDonald's over a cantankerous woman who's a lawyer.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that.
However, for women, it's that success it goes back to caveman days of okay, this guy can hunt well and has all the resources, and he can keep me safe and comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you're right there. In general, as a guy, don't care about a woman's job. I mean, I care
that she can work and she can work hard at something, but
not the money. I mean, you know what I like? I like it when a girl's got a passion or an ambition, and that often leads to a really good career that's well paid. But let's say, when someone's super dedicated and they're really good at their craft, I really admire that. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. A guy doesn't really care about a woman's wealth. And
but can you imagine, a primary school teacher, a nursery teacher, that girl could really care about her job. She's never going to make a lot of money being a teacher.
Yeah. But I think you made the kind of you came up with the stereotype there about the lawyer. I once dated a lawyer, and it was exactly that. You know what I mean? And
combative.
Well, just because she was the boss of the firm and like fine, you know, general day to day. But if you got into a kind of an argument, turned into work mode, and it just went crazy. You know, it was just like super authoritative, and it was just never going to work like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, that's onto other topics. But I think you're right. What I would say about money, though, Chris, even from anyone's perspective, I don't think you should chase money ever. What money is usually an indicator that something's going right. It's just an indicator of competence, right? In one area or whatever. If you've got the ability to generate some money, and the amount of money can be different, but if you've got the ability to generate an income, that is attractive because it's competence, right? But the money itself, what you really want is a lifestyle, right? So you want to live the life that the most attractive position is when you're living the life that you want to live on your terms. So you're not a wage slave, you're not in a 9-to-5 that you hate. That's not attractive. You could be in a 9-to-5 that you love, just not stuck in a 9-to-5 when that's not what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you know, it's almost like said in some of my videos, you create an identity, right, for who you are, and then you live it honestly. And if that then gives you a lifestyle that you enjoy, right, you only need the amount of money to service that lifestyle. So it depends what the lifestyle. And if you can get the lifestyle without the money, you go for the lifestyle. Forget the money. You don't need it. So your lifestyle might be, I want to teach surfing. I love it with a passion. I was going to sit on some beach somewhere, really hot, teach surfing. I met a guy like that out in Fuerteventura who's a professional windsurfer. Pretty sure he made a bit of money, but I don't think he made an absolute fortune. But he was living his dream life. That was his lifestyle. And he didn't need the money because all he needed was a flipping surfboard and some waves, which was on the beach where he lived. So that's the difference. You want to build a life that you enjoy that's living honestly. And that is attractive. For some people, that means they need the millions and billions, but not for everyone.
Yeah.
And money can buy a lifestyle too, if you have it, if you use it right.
Yeah, but then you also have people who are like, you know, investment bankers, where if they don't go to work on Saturday, don't bother coming into work on Sunday. That your entire life, yeah, you make a lot of money, but it swallows up your entire life, and then you cannot. Right? I mean, they plan on getting the lifestyle after they're 40, and then it's destroyed their health already, and it's like
I don't think that's a good attractive position at all. Those people,
I don't. They can't have social relationships like that because they have no free time.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a life to me. I mean, one of the things it's like what I do on some of my videos. I really focus on productivity. So if I think about myself, I used to work 60, 70 hours a week. I've now work a quarter of those hours and achieve 4 or 5 times more. In those hours, you know, I do a few hours. I do a results-based system that's brilliant, and that's because I want that life. That's the life I want. I want to be able to train, go to the gym, do what I want to do in the day, serve my clients, and it's all on my terms, and that's what I focus on. The idea that you go and, I mean, you know, some of these investment bankers probably love it, Chris, but I'm pretty sure some of them don't. But they finish it, you know, after a 12-hour day, and they're going into the bar and knocking back a few whiskies and doing some coke or whatever they're doing. I don't know. I can't see.
Which is why it's like, this is it. It's like the balance of everything, that you don't go all into any one particular area. You work on yourself in various ways. Okay, I think we should maybe cover another topic about attraction. Where should we go with this? Tell you what, I was running the other day, I ran my hands through my hair, and I know I'm going thinner on top. And we talked about this between ourselves. Like, I tried minoxidil. Unfortunately, I turned out to be allergic to it. I think there will be a point that my hair thins to the level that I feel it doesn't look good anymore. And at that point, I will just buzz it off. I will keep my beard because the science shows that, yes, there are some women who hate beards.
Well, you've got the best beard I've ever known. No, yours is like the thickest beard I've ever seen. It's like ridiculous. You know what I mean? You have to keep that. Bloody hell.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, there are women who don't like it, but there are more who do.
Well,
so
yeah, but that's polarization, isn't it? You want to, and that's a point about attraction as well. You know, like if you read any of the books and things, and Mark Manson's book Models, he talks about that. He talks about the first thing you want to do if you like a woman, you've got to polarize her to get her to make a decision whether she likes you or not, and you accept whichever way. So if some don't like your beard,
yeah, but the same with hair. Like if minoxidil works for you, great. It doesn't work for me, so I don't have that. I just want to raise this comment because Tim and Miranda said take DHT blockers. So just to talk about the science behind this, testosterone gets converted with an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase into dihydroxytestosterone, or DHT. And DHT binds to the hair follicles in your head, and it makes them shrink. It basically reduces the blood supply to the hair follicles, so they shrink, and then they eventually fall out, and that's why you get a receding hairline and then baldness. I was taking sol palmetto, but it didn't do a lot for me. I don't want to take anything stronger than that because it also affects the feedback mechanism. So I don't want to drop my testosterone levels by making my body feel like there's more testosterone around.
You won't drop your testosterone. I mean, first thing you got to do is, obviously with anything like that, is get your bloods done. Yeah. But if you, firstly, it's not a DHT blocker. I think we're talking about like finasteride, right? Yeah. So what finasteride does, it doesn't block DHT. It blocks the enzyme. Yeah. That makes it. Yeah. Which then means it doesn't get converted. So what actually happens is your testosterone rises, your overall testosterone rises. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. It initially rises, but then your body thinks, oh, we've got all this testosterone around. So in the long term, the body doesn't produce as much because it realizes it's getting more testosterone back than it expects. So I don't want to go down that route too much. And so I'm just leaving my testosterone and DHT at their natural levels. I think, I'm optimizing my testosterone through my diet and exercise. So I think I will go bald, like my father didn't. But I think I probably will because I've got more testosterone for more of my life than he has. So you've made yourself that way, haven't you? You've made yourself that way with good habits. I mean, that's another thing about, again, having this masculinity from being in the gym, which optimizes your hormones. Good diet, sleep. Yeah, good diet, good sleep, etc. It increases your testosterone, which, I mean, that testosterone affects so many things. It affects your muscle. It affects your mood. It affects how your skin is. It affects your sleep. It affects how you smell. Like women can tell, women are more attractive. Like there's a test, I can't remember when it was done, giving T-shirts worn by men with higher levels of testosterone to women to smell. They like the smell of the T-shirts of the high testosterone men more than the low testosterone men. So this is another reason why it's so important to keep a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But I don't want this to be about how to solve hair loss, but there's one of the best ones, which I swear by, is PRP, platelet-rich plasma, right? So it's quite new. I have mentioned it to you before. It's quite new on the scene. I've had it done about 6 times, right? And it's not cheap, but basically they take your blood centrifuge it, extract out the plasma with the growth factor. It's like yellow liquid with the growth factor in, and just inject you about 1 million times. And women have it done on the. I've had it done on my face, on my flipping neck, on my hair, everywhere. It's called the vampire facial, and it just stimulates collagen growth. But you've also got micro needling, which will stimulate collagen, and your follicles are just in the collagen. So if you micro needle your head, like, you know, you need a
that could be something I should try. I should just go and micro needle it.
But even the PRP needles you, you know, they're injecting you 1 million times, and they're injecting the concentrated growth factor at the source where you need it. And if you look at the science of it, it's pretty good. So I've had it done loads, and honestly, if you're starting to go thin, because what it does is, if you think each follicle can grow up to about, I think, between 1 and 5 hairs, right? Each follicle. So imagine when you're 18, your follicles got 5 hairs and they're all really thick. And then as you get older, your DHT's hitting it, and you're eating a shitty diet, and you're drinking like all the time, and so what's happens? It's going to shrink. So instead of producing 5 hairs, it'll go down to producing 3. Then they'll go thinner. Then it'll be 1, 2, 1, and then you got 1 thin hair where you used to have 5 thick ones from 1 follicle. So when you do the PRP thing, stimulates the follicle, gets it producing more and thicker hairs again. So you might get one that's producing 1 little piddly, doing 3 again, and that's how it works. It wakes up dormant follicles.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll try that.
It's just not cheap, you know. It'll cost you a few grand, because you've got to have about 4 or 5 initially, and then you have to have top up.
See, but then it's like, do I care about it? Do I care about it enough, or do I just embrace the baldness and just? I mean, I can get a micro needler. At least that's not super expensive, and I can just do this once a week.
A week, yeah. Saw palmetto's good, the supplement, because that's a natural enzyme.
It's an alpha reductase inhibitor. Yeah, 5-alpha.
They actually prescribe. Well, it's over the counter, but they get it for, like, because obviously the whole finasteride thing started off as prostate reducer.
Yeah.
It's for prostate problems, and that's what saw palmetto was used for as well. If you read it, the bottle, because I take the stuff, and if you read it, it talks about prostate. Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, I took saw palmetto for 3 months, and I didn't notice anything. Well, but I mean,
it's not one thing though. It's a lifestyle. You've got to do 4 or 5 things. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
So I do everything, me. I get regular PRP. The nutrients, the micros, like the correct vitamins and the trace minerals. So you need to make sure you're having like zinc and all this stuff. I mean, there is a full list. I also do. I've got one of them helmets. You know, the face thing. You know, the I had the red light done at the clinic and everything. But it's a combination of things. You can't just do one thing. There's no like magic pill. Each one's probably doing like 2% here and 3% there.
Honestly, it's going to be a sign of the apocalypse if you ever go through it. It's going to be like, we've tried everything, and if this guy goes bald, then lose all hope.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
You're looking pretty good, man.
Thank you. You too. What else shall we cover? So one thing that is really important is actually voice. And I noticed, if I listen, you know what, I listened to voice messages that I sent before I really actualized my masculinity, and my voice was like, it was so much like this, and it was like very soft and very, very light and very and now I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Who the hell was that? That doesn't even sound like me. And speaking with a deeper, more confident tone changes how people look at you as a man. As a woman, it's the opposite way around, where it's sweeter and softer, then it's more attractive. But for a man to have this calm, steady, deep voice, it signifies testosterone. It signifies confidence. It signifies that you've got your life in order and you are now calm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just from my own experience, I've had very different reactions. I mean, I can't pin it all on the voice, but it is something that I noticed about myself. As I've become more masculine, as I've embraced my masculinity, my voice is deeper than it was before.
Well, I think what you're talking about there also leads into the power of non-verbals. I think the tone of voice leads into that, because if we can separate what you say from, because really what you can say anything, right? So if you meet a girl, it doesn't really matter what you say. It's how you say it, how your non-verbals are, body language, tone of voice is massive, as you say. You know what I mean? You want to be sort of fairly slow and deep, but also appearing like confident and just sort of relaxed in yourself and genuine. You know what I mean? You don't want to be, because if you're like what we said at the start when we're saying about atomic attraction, and it's good for guys that are just kind of getting into it, the faking it, I think it's so easy to spot a faker, you know what I mean, if you're not relaxed and you're just not your genuine self. So I think when you're talking about listening back to yourself there, you just wasn't in that frame of mind. Once you do, I think you naturally relax in your voice a bit more.
Yeah.
And a lot
but it's
more.
Also relaxing in your body and in your breathing. So
Yeah.
I think I breathe in my diaphragm more now. My posture, like Tim and Miranda said, your posture helps too. And I think that's absolutely right. You stand taller. You're not looking at the ground as much. You're not hiding yourself from the world.
Yeah, you grow 2 inches. If you've got bad posture, you just.
Oh wait, what are we talking about? I talk.
Well, your confidence will grow 2 inches in that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the weather and mood. Speaking of that, that's also something many men get caught up about. There's lots of insecurity about pea size, and actually most men are within within a 5 to 7 inch range, and it generally, even if it's something that you are on the lower end, worrying about it is not going to help you. And it will seem attractive if you go to a woman and say, "Oh, I'm really concerned." It will seem very unattractive if you go to a woman and say, "Oh, I'm really concerned that you might not be so impressed." Like, you've got to be confident. You've got to own whatever you have, like whatever that looks like, whatever height you are. Own everything and do the best with what you've got.
Correct. I think there the worst thing is worrying about it, because that anxiety is going to affect.
It ruins everything.
Yeah, it's going to affect your performance. And I spoke to a few guys about that. I mean, performance anxiety is a big one, and it's all, in my opinion, it's just in your head, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not wired up wrong. It's your head, and it's worrying about things like that. You know what I mean? A bit of performance anxiety is all in your head, and so quite often the fix for that kind of thing, it goes down to confidence and self-worth. And if you're not feeling whole about yourself and you're not happy about yourself in one way or another, it might be something else. You know, you might be a bit overweight, or you might not be happy about something, worried about something else. That will affect your performance anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're a really content individual, you're doing what you want to do in life, you're in charge of everything, you know, everything's where you want it to be, and you're on a path to growth, you generally won't suffer with performance anxiety, because you're just happy in yourself.
Yeah. But I mean, I knew at a stage in my life where I really needed things to work with the girl, that affected me.
That's different.
Yeah, when you really when you think, oh my gosh, this is the only chance I get to impress her, that will screw you up. That like you will, like, compared to if you just feel like, I don't care what happens. If she likes me, she likes me. If she doesn't, she doesn't. Her loss, whatever. If you have that mindset, things will be better than putting the pressure on yourself to think, oh, I've got to be great right now.
Yeah, well, so there's a lot to be said for that kind of abundance mindset where you're not bothered either way. You know what I mean? You're not outcome dependent, as you know. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it's true. I've been there where you really needed it to work.
Yeah, me too.
And it just screws with what's going on upstairs, which then affects everything. Yeah, but
I think this leads into another aspect of attraction, and that's not taking on this "I must have her and only her" mentality.
Yeah,
because it's going to ruin, like, you will ruin your chances with that woman if you think that you cannot that you cannot have a happy, satisfying life without her. If you need her, she won't want you.
Yeah, and that's not an easy thing to get over. That, you know, some people say it's the unplugging process, which is kind of true. You've got to learn about not what they tell you in the movies, but how the world really works. And once you learn about how the world really works and you accept it and you understand that, you know, people come and go out of your life and not everyone's going to like you, and it's not, it doesn't matter how much you like someone. As a guy, it doesn't matter how much you like the girl. That's fucking, sorry, language. It's irrelevant how much you like the girl. The only thing that matters is how much she likes you.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people get wrapped up in. Like, they think because they like her so much, it's reciprocated. And no, it doesn't matter. You're better off not liking her so much in the first place and being a bit more reserved about it, which is back to being more secure about yourself, isn't it? You know, not needing anything, not needing, or you being as, what's the word? You being as cautious about it as she is. You know, you're seeing how suitable she is for you.
Yeah.
You know, the buyer seller thing. You want to be the buyer. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to be the buyer. You know, she's auditioning for you or whatever. If you can get it that way, then obviously. And whilst we're on the topic, this isn't. I just want to say, I'm not just fighting the men's corner here. I genuinely believe that the best relationships, and you said this on one of your videos, Chris, I genuinely believe the best relationships are where the guy is the adored. You know, where the guy is, the woman is chasing the guy a bit more. They're the ones that are likely to last. Because as you say, you know, if you're the guy that's chasing her, she'll lose respect and lose attraction for you very quickly. But it doesn't really work the same the other way around.
No. Yeah, and I think that video, I think, was why you will not get the woman that you really want. Because if you really, 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 really want her and no one else will do, she's not going to fall in love with you from that perspective. And you know, I mean, I remember having the pain of my life of thinking, like, I adore her and she's chosen someone who doesn't give a shit about her, but she feels more comfortable being the adorer than the adored. The adorer has the more emotional highs and lows. It's more entertaining. They have more the captivating experience than the one who is just adored. Yeah, the adored can love just as much, but it's a different experience.
Yeah, very, very, very true. And you have to learn that stuff, you know.
Yeah. And there's a period of mourning as well, because when you were the adorer, like you have to grieve that like Disney fantasy, like,
Oh, it's a
and
tough
it
one.
becomes much more like normal life. It's just like, oh, I just like my life with this person, rather than, oh my gosh, they're the most amazing thing in the world to me.
Yeah, it's like the film, you know, like the whole the red pill label that people put on it, red pill, blue pill, and all that, right? So it came from the Matrix, but watching that film is brilliant. You know, when is it Cypher when he just says ignorance is bliss, and he's eating that steak, and he's just thinking,
Yeah,
oh, you know that crap that they're eating on that like it looks like really bad porridge, doesn't it?
yeah.
They're eating on that in that spaceship, and he can't be doing with it, and he's thinking, ignorance is bliss. Just plug me back in. I just want that life. You know what I mean? So it is the morning. When you realise this stuff, you kind of think, oh, I wish I was innocent again. And in a way, ignorance is bliss. But when you realise that the world is, you know, it's pretty damned. It's not cruel. It just is what it is. And you know, once you understand the facts about things like attraction and stuff and relationships and stuff, yeah, you do mourn it a bit. You know, but that's fine, yeah. But me, I'd rather know the truth, mate. I'd rather know and sit with the truth, no matter how brutal it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because believing too much of a fantasy can lead you to being very like men self-delete over this, because like their entire existence is built upon a fantasy, and it's when it doesn't work out like that, it's it can tear their world apart.
Yeah. And sometimes you can like, I don't know if you know anyone in your life that may be a bit younger or whatever and going through some of these mistakes, as we call them. You can almost predict what's going to happen. You know, what they're doing. If you know anyone, like I've got a couple of friends like that I know that are a lot younger. I'm looking at how they're behaving, you know, and with the woman chasing them and almost getting walked over, and you've almost got to let them.
I think people
need a bit of trauma to wake up, but
you know, I mean, you can drop hints, but ultimately, if people aren't open to listening, then like,
well, quite often they're not ready to, like in the film, you know, they're not ready to be woken up, are they?
No, I think, you know, for me, there was no one who could have given me a short conversation. Like, I probably would have needed an older brother or like a father figure or someone to just like spend the time with me and like chip away at it. But it would, like, if someone just gave me the truth, I would have thought, oh, that's a really pessimistic way of viewing the world. I don't want that. Go away.
Just thinking, Chris, we've tipped the hour, right?
Yeah.
Talk about attraction. What about if we just maybe, I don't know, there are people who are listening and just want some advice, some actionable advice. Do this, do that. You know, don't do this, do that. Could we perhaps list off some of the more obvious ones? Like, let's start with dress, clothing.
Okay.
Do you want to do that? So I'll go on clothing, right?
Okay.
I reckon you should always be slightly better dressed than everyone around you, everyone that you turn up. You always want to be slightly better dressed. I don't mean you're turning up in a tuxedo to the gym, but you want to be context relevant, but you always want to be slightly dressed. It's like sometimes when I go out for a few drinks with my old mates, who says, "You don't feel a bit overdressed?" No, this is me. You know, I'm slightly overdressed. Always. That's why I always believe that you want to be slightly overdressed. And I know that sometimes that's uncomfortable. People, you know, it puts them out of their comfort zone because they're not used to it. They're used to hiding away and keeping their head below the parapet. And they don't want to draw attention to themselves. And I think that comes, you need the confidence to do it, but always be slightly overdressed than everyone else. That's tip number one.
Okay, I'll do number two, and I think it should be in shape. lift weights, or even like men lift weights, women, yes, also lift. Like I was saying, like there are many girls that I see at the gym, and I just think, oh my gosh, they look so super hot. And if you look at their face, they're not even incredibly pretty. They just have put in the work into their body that they, it like doubles your score out of 10. So even if like, they might look like an 8 out of 10, but there would have been a 4 if they didn't do anything at all. And like, it matters so much for men. It signals strength, it signals discipline, it signals like that ability to push yourself out of your comfort zone. It signals that you're someone that can take leadership and keep people safe. So yeah, as well as it boosts your immune system, it improves your testosterone levels, it improves your sex drive. You're going to get more respect from men and women. You are improving your bone density, and feeling strong, being able to run up several flights of stairs just makes life feel easier. So yeah, it has a huge effect on how you view the world. Because
makes you more productive as well at work. You've got more energy.
Yeah, you have more energy for the rest of your life.
Correct. And you're likely to live longer if you've got higher bone density and more lean mass.
Yeah.
You're less brittle when you're older. Right, number 3, I would say, I don't know if you call it confidence or non-verbal communication. Understand body language and non-verbal communication. And that might be, a couple of tips, which are obvious reading loads of books. When you're a guy and you want to look confident, you want to sit with an open posture. You don't want to look like you're guarding your chest. Same with if you're holding a drink, you want to hold it by your side and things like this, or how you stand with your shoulders back. Open your chest, reveal your chest, right? So all these kind of non-verbal things really matter, because I do believe, like I've been in a scenario where I met a girl and we couldn't even speak the same language, but there was instant chemistry because the non-verbal was there. Right, this is what I mean. It doesn't really matter. You can just go up and say hi, like very little. Hi, how are you? What's your name? Something as simple as that. But if you go up and hi, how are you? It depends on how you deliver it. It's everything around that, the non-verbals and the body language. So I think learning about and just how to stand, how to sit. There's a lot of things you can research this on YouTube. There's a lot of content out there on how to. It's like one of the ones in the book is in a few books as well, is when you sat there with so I hate when you go in a restaurant facing opposite. I absolutely can't stand it. I think it's like an interview. It's really formal. I will do my utmost. I want to sit next to her, so I always, even if it's a small table, I'll just sit next to me, so we're equals and next to each other, or at quarters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's best not to have a barrier in front of you.
Exactly. Yeah, things like that. And then when you're there, don't lean in to talk to her. Sit back. As a guy, you want to take up space a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't want to look like ridiculous with it, like when you walk in, you're carrying carpets or something. But you want to take up some space, right? Just because it looks confident and reveal your chest. You don't want to look like you've got to protect yourself. That's number 3.
Okay, number 4, I think it should be the inner game of non-neediness, masculinity, and dominance, along with confidence. Don't need the girl. You never need her. If you need her, you will not have her. You can want her, but there are many others out there who would want you if she doesn't. So don't get too caught up on one particular individual. It never works out super well when you pedestalize her. So yeah, learn what healthy, balanced love is. It's not like this infatuation you have in the movies.
Very good. So we're up to number 5.
Yeah.
5, right. So I think number 5, I'm going to say, it's probably really important is, why have I just had a brain dump? I'm going to say for number 5, my brain's just gone blank, Chris. Why has that happened? Really strange. But yeah, probably what I'd probably say here is, right, so I'm going to talk about something tangible now. Little accessories, right, to go with your outfit, I think are important. And I don't mean peacocking. So peacocking is where you're really, really wearing something flashy and trying to stand out. However, there is a time and a place for peacocking. I think you can do it. I bought a crazy jacket to go out around Christmas and it worked. So I think you can peacock at times, as long as you're carrying it off well. But what I mean by accessories is things like a nice watch is the number one accessory for a guy, right? And it's not necessary that you need a watch, but if you have one, I think it complements your outfit. But with all these things, with the external things, I mean, you hit on the inner game. We could blow that up so much and talk about what inner game is and confidence, it's self-worth.
Maybe it's a future episode.
Yeah, as a whole, you could do about 2 hours on it. But just like with a watch, what you got to be careful of with things like, because I wear a lot of jewelry and things like this. To me, I like it, but don't buy a watch as a sticking plaster to get over the fact that you're not confident in life. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be a coping mechanism. You don't want to watch for that. It's just when you start taking care of yourself, you put a lot of work into your body, you bought a nice suit or whatever, a nice jacket, adding a watch will just take it that little bit further. So I always think like, a nice watch or something, because I think you need an angle. You know what I mean? You need a slight angle that's unique to you. So, and it's about building that unique. You don't want to go crazy, just something like that, like a watch or a nice bracelet or something.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds a bit shallow, that one, but I still think it works, in my opinion.
No, but I think it's the cherry on the cake. I think you need, like, I would say, fitness, like the body, it sets up the basis for the mind, which sets up the basis for like how you dress and like and your accessories.
Have we got a 6th?
We could keep. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I've got a good one. So this will be a good one. You just sparked an idea in my head there with what you said. So never, ever, ever lead with money or success. Right? And we spoke about this, because I told you again, right? Never lead with money or success. Right? If you're a guy and you're successful, never overtly lead with that stuff. Let the girl work it out by herself. It's like a little puzzle that she works out. And I think with anything like that, it's always nice that it's subtly revealed and they work it out themselves. So if you're successful, never lead with it. Like, I know a guy who's very wealthy, and we spoke about this, but he leads with money, you know what I mean? And he gets the odd girl, but they're never the ones that, he's been married a few times, divorced a few times. They've all took him to the cleaners. When he meets a girl, it's always a girl that wants to, it's the wrong sort. They want something off him. So let the girl work that out for themselves. And I think what you should do with your success, if you've got any, you should use it as, so again, back to money. It's just an indicator that things are going right. If you earn money, it means that you've added value somewhere to the world. All right, not always. Some people cheat and things to get money. But generally, if you're in business and you're doing well, it means that you're competent because you're adding value, right? So you've got to see your success as a confidence boost. It means you're useful. You've got to be competent in something. And that, if you're competent and you're consistent, that will generally manifest into the life that you want and some wealth, whether that's real money or just enough that you need. But you never want to lead with it. Never.
Yeah.
You always want to be fun. Lead with your personality, be fun, and let, if you've got any success, let that radiate through your character, and let them work it out.
Yeah.
That also means don't go throwing money around.
Yeah, and don't take a girl out on an expensive date for the first time you meet her. Like, let's go out for a coffee or a drink first, and then see if she's worth.
Yeah, you should be a sniff test.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For both of you.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone over the planned hour. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and let us know what you think in the comments. Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.